Hello, everyone. Welcome to Locker Room Stories, episode 3. And as we promised, today we are going to talk about soccer, and nothing better to start with than our team that we support, Manchester United. And we have today with us, we have Saurish and we have Arpit with us, who are also Manchester United fans. And we would love to get their opinion about how United is faring this season. I'm sure they will have a lot to say. I mean, they will have a lot to say about the manager also, and they will have a lot to say about the team also. So let's just dive into it. So, Sorish, I would like your opinion on like what have you been following as far as United is concerned. Like, what do you think about the season so far? I'm sure it's bad, but like I want to just get an opinion.
Yeah, I mean, uh, it's a straightforward question, but it's very difficult to answer because,
Yeah,
like, we all know that it's not been a great start. Again, like last year, we finished eighth. I think winning the FA Cup was sort of papering the cracks where we all ended on a high note. But if you look at the Premier League, we finished eighth. We had a horrible run where, of course, we had a lot of injuries. But if you take the injuries out of the play, if you just look at the Premier League table, it was probably the worst that we've done in a long time, right? Or maybe
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the
We have
worst
broken
ever.
our own record from last year.
Exactly, and we keep breaking these records, right? I mean, we've
Yeah,
all been following United for so long, but once Sir Alex Ferguson retired, we've been breaking all these bad records, like
yeah,
losing against West Brom, losing against West Ham, losing against
yeah,
Everton at Old Trafford, which we've never imagined or seen, and it's been progressively happening since the day Sir Alex retired, right? And for every manager that comes in and gets fired, it just gets progressively bad.
yeah,
And there are many reasons behind it, but I think the main reason is that I feel like when a new manager comes in with new coaches, they recruit their coaching staff, they get their own players. There's a transfer market happening as well. But since we keep on changing the manager every 3 years or 4 years, the players don't get sacked like the manager, right? They stay, and not all players have the same attributes, right? Some players are really good with counter attack, like for example, Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford was really good with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and also like Eric Ten Hag. I would say for 70% of his first season, he was really good, but he's also inconsistent. Uh, and then there are some players who are really good with uh, if you want to play in a more progressive style, if you want to play more positional style, like on the pitch, not every player has all the style and not every player can adapt. So if you fire a manager, let's say for example Solskjaer, who was really good at counter attacking, and you get a coach who's very much into high pressing or transitional play, you're still left with the players who are primarily good at counter attack. Right? Rashford is not going to track back. I mean, he might track back for 1 or 2 games, but it's not his main forte as a player. Right?
yeah,
He's good at counter attack. He's good with long balls. He has a good finish, but he needs to have those long balls so that he can do that. Similarly, like another good example is Bruno Fernandes, right? I mean, he's always going to keep playing the Hollywood passes. He's not like a Kevin De Bruyne or a Bernardo Silva or a Odegaard kind of player, right? He's always going to, play that Hollywood long pass, which is going to work 3 times out of 10. But again, like if you can't keep the ball, then you're losing your possession. And if you're playing a transitional game
yeah.
under Eric Ten Hag with players who are counter attack, then your defense is not that solid, and you concede a lot of goals. And I think that's what's happened last season and this season as well. Having said that, I do feel that starting so poorly in the season is definitely not a good sign for
Yeah.
Eric. And since we are under new management now, I think that's a big point in terms of what's going to happen next. Because although, like, I think most of the United fans, they feel that Eric Ten Hag should be sacked because this
Yeah.
is his third season and he's kind of going through the same motions whatever happened last season. And if we don't change him, we are probably going to finish eighth or even like below eighth
Yeah.
this season, right? With the form that we have. So I do understand that people want him sacked and we need a new manager and stuff like that. But it's also going to be interesting because Ineos is in charge. That's new management, and whether they sack or retain Eric Ten Hag, whoever the next manager is, they won't be able to sack him because they would have to stick with him for a long time because that's going to be
Yeah.
their hire. So need to be careful about that.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, I'm going to come back to you guys on asking about what actions would you take at the end of this episode. But moving on to Arpit, what do you think about, uh, I mean, what has gone wrong? I mean, any opinions exactly what has gone wrong? Is it the players? Is it the manager? Or do you feel it's both?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with your points. Like, this is worst start to the season. I mean, I'm following it from last 6, 7 years probably. I've seen multiple managers coming in, coming out, but not this kind of football.
Yeah.
Because I've seen teams who are not doing good. Probably they're not getting results, but there is always a style of play or a progression is there, right? And when you see United playing, sometimes they are just clueless. They don't know how to build a game, and they are just going sideways, passing and just rotating the ball. So probably it's more of like how manager wants to play, but it's sometime when it doesn't suit your style of play, you have to
Yeah.
adapt change, like you have to adapt changes. And that's what I'm not seeing anything from, like, Tanag is just sticking to his like what
Yeah. Yeah.
principles,
Yeah.
and just going on with the same thing again and again, and not getting the results.
Yeah, I think that
So
that is one thing I have noticed that he's not at all pragmatic. I think he like Jose Mourinho. I mean, Jose Mourinho might have an ego, but he was still pragmatic. So he would look at the opposition and then roll out a team. He would not just randomly pick any team that he wants to pick and just play like tiki taka or any like gegen press or any kind of that kind of football. He would probably look at the opposition. If the opposition is too strong, he would probably play counter attacking football. If the opposition is not good, he would probably ask his team to be aggressive and be in their faces, and then be also like keep possession of the ball and play from the back, right? But I think what Tenag, my opinion is what Tenag I feel with Tenag I feel is that he's very adamant. Like he sticks to his own way of playing. I think in the first season where he did little bit well, I think what we saw was he after two games, the first two games we had a hammering from I think Brentford and Brighton, and then he immediately switched to this dynamic kind of setup wherein he will
Mhm.
see the opposition and set up a team. And he was mostly playing counter-attacking football, which is exactly what Solskjaer was playing. All vibes. Where there was no style of play, there was no tactics involved. It was just looking at the opposition, setting up a team, and just playing based on whatever came their way. So I think
Mhm.
that's one thing. The other thing I feel is I like we have seen Ajax play. We have seen Ten Hag's previous teams. I thought there was a style of play. There was a attacking kind of play that was there. So tactically, he's not bad. But what I feel is he cannot motivate his players. He is just not able to motivate his players. Like Mourinho or someone would give the head right treatment, while this guy, I don't think so, has the dressing room support at all. I think the dressing room is already gone. I think no one in the team gives a damn about whether Ten Hag stays in the job or not. And I think they're just waiting for him to get fired. What do you think, Sarish?
Yeah, I mean that's sad, right? I mean, if what you're saying is actually true, that's really sad because at the end of the day, I mean, these guys who are playing on the field at Old Trafford, they are heroes to us. We look up to them, inspire them, but to them, like when you look at Manchester United as an organization, they're just players, right? And their
Yeah,
job is to, I mean, Roy Keane keeps saying that's his job, so it's pretty
yeah,
much like that, right?
yeah,
And if it's all about player power, then that is concerning, right? Because we
yeah,
know that player power got Mourinho out. We know that some kind of player power got Solskjaer out as
yeah,
well. All Ralph Ragnick was ridiculed by everybody, including
yeah,
Cristiano Ronaldo. So now, if it's Eric Ten Hag, so regardless of the whoever the new manager is, it's going to be difficult for the new manager because at the end of the
yeah,
day, the players give up and say, "Oh, I can't play in this style," or "This is not my thing," or whatever. Then what do you end up with? You end up with 11 or whatever your squad number is, a certain number of stubborn players who just want to do whatever they want, and that's not how a football club should function, right?
yeah,
Definitely when there is a new management in place, definitely when you're hiring new coaches. I mean, Ruud van Nistelrooy is a new hire. He's a new coach in the squad right now, and I'm pretty sure the reason why he's there is so that he can have a say in how we want to attack or how we want to, excel in transitional play. So
yeah,
that is worrying if that is true. But I do agree that Eric Ten Hag does have a bad habit of being very adamant about
yeah,
what he wants to do, and he does not change. I
yeah,
mean, he took off the captaincy from Harry Maguire and gave it to Bruno. I think,
Yeah.
including myself, like everybody thought that that was a good idea. Nobody likes Harry
Yeah.
Maguire, anyways. But now that Bruno has been having a horrible time
Yeah.
last season, he's wasteful. Doesn't forget about scoring goals. He just runs around the field doing nothing.
Yeah.
He's probably the only player in the Premier League that I've seen who has a free role.
Yeah.
I have never seen any other player in the Premier League who has a free role. And I
Yeah.
think that is a problem because if you
Yeah.
want a system to be in place, you cannot have a player running around everywhere. He's playing in the wing, he's playing number 8, he's playing number 10.
Yeah.
He's all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And I think like him being a captain, he never gets dropped. And that
Yeah.
shouldn't be like that. You cannot keep on playing him for 90 minutes if he's in bad form or he's
Yeah. Yeah.
or whatever. And Eric Ten Hag does not have the balls to drop him.
That's the example of player
Right.
power, right? Where you can see that clearly. I mean, you can see that he can't drop Fernandes. He can't. I mean, whenever Rashford is dropped, people are like shouting and
Yeah.
taking his name that he's just making the wrong decisions. But I mean, Rashford is not playing well. Rashford was not playing well, so it was bound to happen. He had to be dropped for few games. I mean, and the other problem I see is that, I mean, I want Arpit's opinion on this. The other problem I see is there is no competition in any of the positions. So the
Yep.
players are so bad in every position that there is absolutely zero competition. So if you drop Anthony, there is no one in that position. If you drop Rashford, there is no one better in that position. I think Garnacho is an average player. I don't think so he's fit for United. Probably maybe second team, maybe playing in the Europa League, maybe playing in the FA Cup. Maybe you can play him, but in the first team in the Premier League, when it comes to top opposition, I don't think he's fit for it. In fact, he has shown it against even the lower opposition where he's not doing well, right? I mean, we saw in the previous games what happened with Garnacho. I think he was not able to finish the opportunities that he got, and I mean, some of them were crazy misses. I mean, like open goal and he missed it. Then he always ends up taking, like, he has this Rashford syndrome nowadays, where he always ends up taking the wrong decision.
Yeah.
Instead of crossing the ball, he would end up taking a shot. Instead of taking the shot, he would end up crossing the ball when there's no one on the far post. So that's like crazy. What do you think, Arpit, about Garnacho and Rashford? This whole problem of wingers that we have.
Yeah, I'll start with Garnacho only then. Like in the last 3 games, you said he's just taking shots, and he has a similar kind of a gameplay. He's not going and creating game for Manchester United, or he's dropping. I know everyone is saying he's young, he's a winger, he don't need to drop back or something like that. But again, if you're playing in a club where you are seeing like you're not getting good results, probably everyone has to step up a bit and contribute in the other field, like other positions as well, right?
Yeah.
And Anthony, I don't see any value or like goal scoring. Last when he scored, I remember of like scoring against Liverpool probably in the FA Cup. That
He
was the
doesn't
match.
even play anymore.
Yeah.
Eric Ten Hag puts him on the bench.
And
Yeah.
he's playing just now he's obsessed with Diallo, I guess, and he's just playing Diallo every game in and out, which
Yeah.
again he's young and he's not, which I feel is not good enough for Premier League, because
Yeah.
he has attributes but not that he can beat defenders very easily. Like if you see Phil Foden or someone like Bukayo Saka, they're probably like far better than Diallo right now.
Yeah, I think with
Uh,
most players that we have in different positions, I don't think so any of them are like Manchester United level. Probably,
yeah,
I would say Kobe Menu would be the only player that would like. I would feel that that would be the first name on the sheet. I think, apart from Kobe Menu, I don't think so. There's any player in that team which is the first name on the sheet. I mean, can be the first name on the sheet, because I think Hoyland is not at the top level. Zirkzee, we have seen glimpses where he did really well in one of the matches, but not really, again, not at the same level as maybe the past strikers that we had, like Nistelrooy, Rooney. I mean, you can't even take these names. I mean, you feel really bad when you hear those names. You talk about Beckham, you talk about Giggs, you talk about Neville, you talk about all these,
No, but that's the
the class
thing.
of 92,
You
right?
you don't even have to talk about the class of 92. Look at
Yeah,
players like Ji-sung Park. Look at
yeah,
players like Nani, who were not in the level of Ronaldo or Rooney,
yeah,
but they were really good at what they did. And I don't think we are anywhere close to that when you
yeah,
look at our squad. I, when you look at Ganacho and Ahmad, I think it's fine for me. I'm ready
yeah,
to give them a pass because they are like Ganacho. what, this is his second season,
Yeah.
and Ahmad is finally getting his chance in the first team. I think the problem happened when we decided that we are going to give Rashford a 300,000 contract and
Yeah.
he's going to be the main man, right?
Yeah.
And he failed miserably. The moment that contract was signed, his form dipped. And I'm not saying that he cares about money and doesn't care about football,
Yeah.
but it's just that we keep on depending, or we keep on like investing in the wrong players. I
Yeah.
mean, Rashford is good, but is Rashford worth 300,000 that he's going to be the
Yeah.
main man? I mean, he's a good player. He came from the academy as well, and he's had his highs and lows, but he's not worth 300,000. No other
Yeah.
club is going to give him that. Same with Bruno. We gave Bruno 300,000 like at the
Yeah.
start of the season. Bruno Fernandes is good, but is he worth 300,000? Is he
Yeah.
like Kevin De Bruyne? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, no disrespect to Bruno. I love him, but
Yeah.
he's not worth that. And the point
Yeah.
is, when you give them these contracts, you're almost like giving them the retirement contract. So they
Yeah.
know they can
Exactly.
stay in the club for the next 7 years and get that money,
Yeah.
unless somebody else takes them. Now, who's going to pay 300,000 to Rashford in
Hmm.
salary? I don't think any club
Yeah.
can, right? With PSR and whatever that other thing is, like with the regulations and things like that, nobody can afford him. So, which means he gets to stay forever and ever,
Yeah.
and block that money for United, so they cannot buy someone new, they cannot replace him. But at the same time, he's just there earning that money,
Yeah.
not giving you, the result or the success that you need. And
Yeah.
we've done that with so many players. We did it with Paul Pogba, of course. Like Alexis Sanchez and all those bad deals are there. But if you look at Pogba, that's a very interesting thing where he's a really good player. I think everybody would agree that Paul Pogba is a very
Yeah.
talented player. But again, like, in order to manage a player like that, you need good backroom stuff, because he's got an unusual personality. You need to keep him
Yeah.
happy. He's very moody. He likes the spotlight. So, and he's also injury prone, right? So
Yeah.
these are things that I think keep United like at a very bad spot, where they cannot replace players and get new ones.
Yeah.
But hopefully, under the new management, they can change this. Of course, Rashford can't be sold and Bruno can't be sold,
Yeah.
but I'm guessing like the fact that I never thought Scott McTominay would be sold, so that gives me hope. I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys are a fan of Scott McTominay. I
Yeah.
wasn't,
Yeah.
so I was really happy to see him go. I mean, huge respect to him for
Yeah.
playing for United, but I don't think he had the DNA
I think
to
same
be
with
the
Fred. I think same with Fred.
with Fred. Yeah,
Yeah.
Fred was even worse. I
Yeah.
think, like for a Brazilian. I mean, we have Anthony now. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Anyways, like we always keep on signing these weird Brazilians, man. I don't know. Like,
Okay, so I think that brings me to an interesting question. So, like, can you name any two players that you would bring in? Like, I will start with Arpit. That would really change the United team. And I know the management has changed. I know the recruitment is going to be better now. I hope so. At least Dan Ashworth has come in. The CEO of Manchester City has come in. There are some good people in the management. Hopefully, the recruitment is going to get better. But can you? I mean, from my perspective, I feel there are not many players around in the market who you can bring in and really improve this team. So, can you name any two players, Arpit? I mean, according to your opinion, which you?
Right now, right now, I think biggest concern for United is left back probably.
Yeah,
So because Shaw is not fit, Malaysia, I don't know where he is. He's
yeah,
even in the United or not. Dalo is playing there, not giving good results, right?
yeah,
So probably a left back. I would say
yeah,
someone of like Alfonso Davis, who probably not contribute much in defense, but he can give you that attacking input and
yeah,
and the fitness level. Like I never heard of him getting injured. And another player that I would bring, seeing the news is right now, it might be like controversial, but Paul Pogba,
yeah,
because with the team setup that United right now has, probably I'll just put Pogba in place of Bruno, and maybe I see what results we can get, because I've seen him playing in France as well,
yeah.
like that number 10, number 8 role, floating one. So probably these
Yeah,
these
that
two
depends
players.
on, see, if Pogba comes for cheap, then you can, it makes sense because he's a free agent now,
Yeah,
but
and you
he's
don't have to pay anything. But if
incredibly
he
injury
doesn't come
prone
for cheap, I
as
don't
well.
think so. Yeah, sorry,
He's
go
like,
ahead, sorry.
yeah, he's incredibly injury prone. and
Yeah,
I don't want any players who are injury. I don't care how talented they are. I
yeah,
mean, look at Mason Mount, right? I
yeah.
mean, he plays one
Yeah.
match and then he goes to the bench
I mean, he's
for
fallen
the
off a
previous
cliff.
game.
He's gone completely. I mean, he
Yeah,
doesn't know how to play football anymore.
it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, any two players that you can think of, Sarish, that you
Uh, I mean,
might
the
want
left
to?
back is interesting, but I think a good number 10, someone like
Yeah,
I would say like a Odegaard or a James Madison would be
yeah,
really good because although they are creative like Bruno, I
yeah,
think they can control the ball and dictate
yeah,
the tempo of the game, where they can hold it for a certain point before releasing it or play the through ball. Whereas Bruno
yeah,
is pretty direct, I think, when it comes to
yeah,
passing the ball. So I would say a number 10 who can hold the ball and help us in transitional play.
yeah, yeah.
And I feel like a striker because one thing that we've been really bad at. Have you seen our goal difference? It was negative
Yeah.
last year. It's now negative.
Yeah,
So which
it's
means
negative again. Yeah,
we don't
yeah.
score goals.
Lowest
So
number of goals we have scored, and even conceded highest number of goals.
exactly.
Yeah,
And so I think maybe a striker. And I'm
yeah,
not going to say Haaland or anything. I think someone like uh, Alexander Isak from Newcastle,
yeah,
really good goal scorer. I mean, his
yeah,
conversion rates are really good. So I would say someone like that who can short give you like 15 to 18 goals in the Prem,
yeah,
and uh, with James Madison or Odegaard, they just facilitate or activate
yeah,
these strikers where they can be in the right places to finish it off. So those will be my pick. But I do agree, like the left back thing is definitely a concern. But I
yeah.
think if we keep on scoring goals and have a good XG or whatever they're calling it these days,
Hmm.
those stats in place, I think like Mazraoui has probably been the best signing so
Yeah,
far.
best lining.
So,
Yeah,
and Dalo, I mean, he has his good and bad days, but I think he can still do a job. He's
yeah,
good going forward. It's just the defensive part which he obviously sucks at. So
yeah,
Yeah, I think a good thing for Dalo is probably he's good while inverting inside the midfield. So I've
yes,
seen him coming in the midfield like the
yeah.
CDM role and probably doing a good passing thing and controlling the ball. So from that point of view, he can be helpful to team, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah, I think my according to me, I think I would sign. I mean, we definitely need a Casemiro replacement. We need
I mean, we
someone
got
to
Ugarte,
strengthen. Yeah, I think the midfield is too open. I think Menu is a good player, and we need someone to support him. And we have to play that double pivot again, which we used to play with McTominay and Fred. I think that's the only chance we have to survive against tough opposition. I mean, anyone in the top 10, in fact. So I think we
hmm
need to play a double pivot, and for that we need someone like a Kamavinga or someone like a young, strong midfielder who can control the game as well as also defend and be box to box. I know
do,
Pogba is controversial.
do you think Ugarte can turn out to be that player?
Yeah, I mean that's what I don't know about anything about Ugarte. To be honest, I mean when United signed him, that's the first time I heard about him. I was not aware of him earlier, so I think I don't know. I mean, it depends on how he performs in the Premier League. I think all boils down to that, how he performs in the Premier League.
Right.
Because in other leagues you can do well even at like 70%,
Mm,
80%. Even if you play, you still do well. Like for
right.
example, we've seen with McTominay scoring goals for fun in Napoli. So I
Yeah.
mean, that's like crazy. And the other thing is, I feel Danny Olmo would be an amazing signing because Danny Olmo as a number 10 would be a killer player. I mean, that
hmm
completely changed the dynamics that we have currently because he is not a player who just randomly floats around. He has a structure to his play. He sticks to that position and stays in that position, and he will
Right.
give you those attacking runs. Also, he will give you those box to box attributes also. So I think he would
Right.
be an amazing signing and one player in the midfield, as I told you, to in the play as a replacement for Ugarte if he doesn't do well, or Casemiro. I mean, as a backup for Ugarte, right? If Ugarte ends up doing well, then great for us. And
But
even midfield, even the defense, I think is sorted now. Once Euro comes back, I think Euro and Delict are good. I think that's a good pairing. And Maguire can be your bench player. I mean, of course, Maguire is good with the head. So at the end of the game, probably you can bring him where you have to deal with long balls. I think that's a. But I think for me, it would be Danny Olmo and one midfielder would be the signings that I would do and strengthen this.
but
You
who's going to
talk.
score the goals?
Sorry.
Who's going to score the
I think
goals?
Danny Olmo will contribute in terms of goals also. I'm sure about that. I mean,
Yeah.
he's definitely better than Bruno Fernandes. And you've seen in the last few games, we had enough chances. We had enough chances to at least get something out of the game. Like Bruno Fernandes against, I don't remember who did we play before Tottenham. Uh,
Crystal Palace.
I think
Crystal
he tried
Palace.
some
Yeah,
stupid Trivela shot which went over the post.
yeah,
Like, and he had no one inside. There was no defender defending against him. So I mean, it's crazy how he ends up taking those wild shots, and he always tries those superstar passes. I mean, he doesn't need to do that. I mean, he can play a simple pass. He can play. I mean, anyways, they are playing sideways passes, so you might as well play more sideways passes and get the ball in the right position before you shoot.
right.
Yeah, that's something that you can do. But yeah, you are right. I mean, striker, we are still I mean, still short, but I feel Zirkzee and Hoyland in a, if you put, I mean, again, this question is for you, sorry. So if you put Zirkzee or Hoyland in the Manchester City team, what do you think, how many goals they will score?
Not much. Maybe. So first of all, Xerxes is not a goal scorer. I mean, we've
Okay.
seen him play, right?
Hmm.
So he's more with making plays, and I mean, he is a striker, but he's not like a direct striker like a
Yeah,
Haaland, Isaac, something like that. So I don't think he's gonna score a lot of goals, anyways.
yeah. He's like Saha. Saha. You know Saha, right? You
Pretty
remember?
much, yeah,
He's
yeah,
like
yeah.
Saha. Yeah,
Luis Saha, yeah.
yeah,
Uh, when it comes to Hoyland, I think the problem with Hoyland is he cannot. I've not seen him hold the ball well.
yeah,
I mean, he tries it, but he gives the ball away, and that's a big problem. And that I think Xerxes does that well, where he can make the
yeah.
1-2s and play with a number 10 or the winger. So I don't see Hoyland or Xerxes, like maybe Xerxes like in a very
Yeah.
weird
I
style.
feel the exact opposite. I feel Hoyland will score 20 goals in City team because they will give him so many chances. You have seen even Haaland misses so many chances, right?
Mhm.
So I mean they're creating like crazy amount of opportunities, and probably I mean that's why I feel that if you strengthen the midfield and I mean in terms of attacking as well as defensive positions, I think we would start doing well because I think that midfield is the source of all problems. I think we don't have any support in terms of defensive abilities when it comes to midfield. I think we don't protect that back line at all. We're just too open. I mean,
Yeah,
Yep.
we are getting conceding crosses after crosses in every game,
true.
uh, and easily people pass outside on the wings and just get the ball in back in play in the middle, and people end up scoring. So I think
I
that's
think I
yeah,
think for Zirkzee as well, the way Tanag is putting him in the team, he's like the instructions to him is more about to go and hold up the play, which
yeah,
he's doing a bit good because I'm not seeing him going into that like the tap in positions or going in the box
yeah.
and try to like take a shot and all. He's more into like just making the play for other players like Rashford or even on the whoever on the right wing. So it's more of like how he's asked to play as well,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah. Yeah, to close out the episode, I think I'll ask you that golden question: like, what actions would you take as the CEO of Manchester United or someone who is in the let's say Sir Jim Ratcliffe's position? Like, what actions would you take in terms of improving Manchester United on the field? Off the field, we don't care because it's. I mean, they're earning enough money. So I feel on the field, what actions would you take? Starting with you, Saurish.
Uh, so I'm going to go out on a limb and say that sacking Eric Ten Hag is not going to solve the problem because
Yeah,
we've seen this for 10 years. We've seen people like Mourinho, seen people like Van Gaal. These are good managers, like
yeah,
tried and tested managers fail at Manchester United, and that there
hmm,
is a reason behind it. Is because we are a commercial club at the end of the day.
yeah,
We have been. I don't know what's going to happen under Ineos,
yeah,
but there's always been a commercial side to Manchester United. So, and I think it will take a little bit of time for us to sort of find uh, our grip in which direction we would want to
yeah.
go, and it's going to get a little bit worse till it gets better.
Yes,
Uh,
yeah,
and
definitely.
sacking the manager, I mean, I'm just like thinking about it. If Ten Hag gets sacked tomorrow morning, which can happen actually,
Yeah,
if that happens, Ruud van Nistelrooy becomes the interim manager for the rest of the
yeah,
season because I don't think Thomas Tuchel and Ineos they have a deal in place, because there were some
Yeah.
reports that they fell out before the season started in the summer. So uh, who are we left with? Graham Potter, um, Gareth Southgate.
Yeah.
I mean, these are not Manchester United caliber manager, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if Eric Ten Hag and Mourinho cannot manage the dressing room, do you think a Gareth Southgate or Graham Potter can? I don't think
Yeah.
so. So you need that kind of a manager as well. Now, can we get that guy from Atletico Madrid? What's his name?
Simeone.
Simeone. Can we get
Yeah.
Simeone? I don't think
Yeah.
so. Like, even if we can get him, that's going to be
That's
next
pretty
season, right?
interesting. Yeah. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's not going to be this season, right? Because
Yeah.
he's already like with he's starting the season in La Liga and he's playing, so that's going to be next season. So which means, so we've only played like, we have 75% of the season left, right? We are in
Yeah.
all the competition, and if we sack Ten Hag and give it to Root, then if it doesn't work, then Root gets fired, because every
Yeah.
time a new manager comes and they come with their own coaching staff as well, and which is quite
Yeah.
rightly, they would
Yeah.
want to play the system. So
Yeah.
why did we hire Root, right?
Hmm.
So there are
Yeah.
a lot of things there that, as a CEO or a decision maker, that you have to think.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
I think,
I think Rude was also an insurance policy. I feel because they were not sure about Ten Hag. I
yeah,
think it was an
absolutely.
insurance policy. Yeah,
But this is too early, I guess,
yeah,
like in terms of doing it. And he also has a release clause of 15 or 17 million. So
yeah,
I guess United would like to take that into account. Is, do we
yeah,
fire him and pay 17 million? Because we don't
yeah,
know. It's a really tough question. But I think if I had to choose, I'll keep him for now. And because
yeah,
we have a good run of games coming up after the
yeah,
international break. I mean, easier games. Every game against United is difficult, but it's easier. So
yeah.
let's see how he does, and then maybe pull the trigger if you have to.
What do you think, Arpit? What would you do?
Yeah, I mean, I would like pretty much align with Saurish as well. Like I'll keep him because the thing is, right now there's no manager available in the market who is really good. I mean, you can't even think of like Thomas Frank. He's not that level, right? He has done well with Brentford, but you can't get him right again. One thing which I would have like I can do is I can ask Tanak to be a bit of open to changes. Like if his system is not working, probably go and change to a bit of like tactical tweak. Probably go to like a counter attacking football for a couple of games, get some results. Probably like players will also get some confidence, and then you again come back to the same
Yeah,
your tactical play, right? And in
yeah,
between you can like prepare the players your
yeah.
style of
I,
play.
yeah, yeah. I think
And
I would
even
have. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Arpit.
yeah, and even like with Nistel Roy, I don't know, he has managed at PSV, I guess, but managing PSV is pretty very much different from what Manchester United you have to manage.
Yeah,
So keeping Tanag for now, like save the money as well, don't pay the release clause and all, and try to maybe get some players who fit in the style for in January, and like clear out some player who are not fitting well, like Rashford, or I know no one is going to buy Rashford in December,
yeah,
but still you can try to maybe give him some confidence play. And one thing like which I've seen in couple of last games, Rashford was actually doing good, but he's taking out at halftime and substituting him
yeah,
as
yeah,
a
yeah.
lower.
Some substitutions have been really weird.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and even with Zirkzee, I've seen in the Crystal Palace game exactly
yeah,
there when he took out Zirkzee, there's no like game build up or anything left.
yeah,
So
yeah. I think
probably
Zerkzee was creating the game in that. I mean, he was the playmaker in that. Pretty much the person who's holding the ball and then putting the balls
yeah.
in behind, and people were getting opportunities. I think that was a bad. So I have a very drastic point of view on this. I would immediately fire him just right at this moment, and I would make Nistelrooy the next manager of United. I will keep him for at least 2 years. I would give him a long run of because I think the one thing that he has in his DNA is the United way of playing. Right? He was a part of the team which is probably the best team of United after the '92 class of '92 team. Right? So I think you had Rooney, you had Tevez, you had I don't know, God knows how many players we had, amazing players during that time when we won the Champions League in 2007-8, right? So we had that. That was an amazing team that we had. So I think I would make him the next manager. I would keep him for a longer period of time. And the next thing I would do is I would in the winter break or itself, I mean the winter transfer, sorry, the transfer window in the winter, I would sign those two players that I talked about. I would, even if I have to like go for Premier League players who are in different other teams. Maybe I would sign some players from Brighton, some players from Fulham who are good. Like for example, last year there was I forgot the name of the player. There was a good player in the midfield. Do you remember, Arpit? There was a Fulham midfielder who was really good.
Yeah,
Palinia,
yeah,
Palinia,
yeah. Who went to Bayern Munich?
Palinia,
Palinia,
Palinia.
Palinia,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
Palinia. So I would sign players like him. I would look at the Premier League first because those players have been
that's a good
proven
point.
players of the Premier League. I would not go outside. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
signing players from Dutch league is a complete stupid ass thing to do. I mean, I would not go to the Dutch league at all. I would stick to either the minimum I would go down is Bundesliga, right? I would not go down beyond that. I think Bundesliga, Spanish league maximum. I would sign players from that league, and if given a chance, I would stick to the Premier League. I know some of those players will be expensive, but go for those players who are giving you 7 on 10 every game. Don't go for the 9 on 10 players who will bomb like every other game, right? I think I would go for players like that. And I think that's the way forward. I think we would just, and for the time being, I would even start playing academy players because you need to clear out whatever is left, right? If you feel that there are still those bad apples in the dressing room, you need to clear the rest of them also. You have cleared out a lot of them. You've cleared out Phil Jones, you've cleared out McTominay, you've cleared out Fred, you cleared out Van de Beek, and God knows how many players you cleared out, right? So you need to clear out the rest of them also. Like if Shaw is a problem, clear him out. If he's just going to sit on the bench or he's going to be in the hospital, then might as well sell him for whatever you can get, right, and release him. So you can actually start building that academy because look at Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal is not a team which has gone and I mean, Arsenal only signed Rice last season and other
Yeah,
players last season.
yeah,
Before that, they had a style of play. They had amazing academy players. They went ahead and bought Martinelli. I mean, when they bought Martinelli, no one knew about him,
yeah,
right? They bought the other player. They bought Trossard. Again, Trossard is a proven player in the Premier League, and he was not very expensive. Again, not very expensive. Not the stupidity like we did with Anthony, where you put 90 million, right? I mean, that's something. So I think first of all, get the next manager some time in the season to at least recover some part of the season and bring in those players in the winter which you want to be on the team and just clear the deadwood out. That are the three actions I would do as a I mean as the owner of United, if you can call me that, right? So I mean, what do you think? I mean, sorry, any opinion on that?
I mean, I like the second part where you said that we need to get more Premier League proven players because I think that totally makes sense because even if you are paying a pricey tag for that transfer, you know that player can play in the intensity in which the Premier League works, right? Rather than getting someone from French league or Bundesliga or La Liga or whatever.
Yeah,
The first part where you're saying like you'll give Van Nistelrooy like 2 years, I don't think he's going to last 2 years because if
yeah,
Eric Ten Hag cannot, you have to understand that I mean, fine, he has the DNA of United, but so did Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, right?
yeah.
And it didn't work. And who says that if we employ Rude, it's going to
But do
get
you think
better?
he had the same level of players? I don't think he had the same level of players. I think he had a much worse team than the current team that Ten Hag has.
I mean, he had Paul Pogba.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
Paul Pogba again is I mean again is like on and
I mean,
off.
he had Cavani for a
Yeah,
bit. I mean,
yeah,
although he was injured like 60% of the games, but when
yeah,
he played, he scored, right? So I think like it's not about the players. I think there's a huge. I mean, it's not just about playing on the field. It's also about motivating at the
yeah,
locker room, which we all agree, right? And I
yeah,
don't. I mean, Van Nistelrooy is already there. I mean,
yeah,
that's his job right now. So
yeah,
if he can't do it when he's manager, then that's a total waste. And then he needs to be fired, right? Because I mean, what happens after he becomes a manager? If it goes
yeah,
well, if we keep him. If it doesn't go well, then so I don't want to lose Van Nistelrooy. I think like
yeah,
he can be a coach for now. Uh, I think the only reason why Eric Ten Hag stays is because we don't have a better option. I mean,
yeah. That I
very
mean that
sad
I
to say
agree.
that, but
That I totally agree with you that the only reason that he stays is because we don't have an option.
yeah,
Otherwise, I think, and the other reason that is the exact reason why Nistelrooy should be given time because if you remove Nistelrooy along with Ten Hag, then you end up having again bringing in the new staff, which again creates a whole problem. whole new problem which is created because you completely abandon the style of play that you anyways don't have a style of play. But whatever is left of it, you start abandoning that also, right? So you have to again get players used to the new system. The good thing is that we have a lot of new players. So if you play all the new players whenever they are available, for example, you play Lenny Oro, you play Ugarte, you play Mazraoui, you play Zirkzee, you play Hoyland, then maybe it makes sense that you bring in a completely new manager who is not a part of the current coaching staff, right? Because then at least they can adapt and they can learn this new style of play. Because the current players I mean, they're not giving anything. They're absolutely giving nothing to the team. They're not
But
adding any value.
they're still like, if they're bad apples, they're still in the locker room, right? I mean,
Yeah,
Rashford has been there since what, Van Hal, right? I mean, he
yeah,
gave his debut, and he's been there since then. Bruno Fernandes has been there since Solskjaer. So these are like people who've been there, and these are like, Rashford isn't outside football. He's a very famous like person, right? I mean,
yeah,
everyone in the UK loves him because he has his PR, he has done things, and so I'm guessing he has that as well, like his PR and stuff like that. And if you are with somebody who has that sort of gravitas in the
yeah,
locker room, you're always going to get influenced, good or bad, right? So I think like what United need is sort of a change of a mentality where they need to sort of understand that. And Eric Ten Hag needs to step up. I mean, the only problem that I have with it, I mean, he has a lot of problems, but I think one thing that he should improve in is having that mentality. When he gave the number 7 to Mason Mount, I couldn't imagine like, someone
yeah,
would do that. Which just goes to show that he doesn't know what Manchester United is. I mean, he
yeah,
might be a really good coach,
yeah,
but he doesn't know what
Yep.
Manchester United, the fabric of the club, right? Which maybe Solskjaer knew, or which maybe Van Nistelrooy already knows. He did not know that. And have you seen his press conferences? It's
yeah, yeah.
absolutely garbage. Where he says
Garbage. Yeah,
after Pep Guardiola, I'm the best manager because I've won three
yeah,
trophies. I mean, what does that even mean?
yeah.
When you have negative goal difference and you're finishing the league
And he's
at
winning all Mickey
8th?
Mouse trophies. I mean, all those are Mickey
Exactly.
Mouse trophies. Absolutely no value.
And which just goes to show that he doesn't know what United is, like our
Yeah,
history, like what the club stand. Yeah, in United you need to win every match. Everybody knows that, but there's a history. There's a passion about United. There's a way that the fans want to see United play, right?
yeah,
With the wing play, they don't want to see United play in tiki taka, Pep Guardiola style football. They don't want to see that.
mm,
I mean, I'd much rather see an attacking style, right? So
yeah,
I think like somebody in the Ineos team needs to tell Eric that, hey, I mean, fine, you've been manager for 2.5 years or 3 years, but you need to know what Manchester United means. And this
yeah,
is where you're falling off, where maybe it's the communication with the players, maybe it's
yeah.
communication with the media. It's not in line. That's why there's so much hate out there against Eric, because he loses the match and this then says the most absolute garbage things in the
Yeah.
interview, and people are pissed.
Yeah, that is exactly my logic behind Nistelrooy. But anyways, I think I understand Nistelrooy that may not make sense for 2 years. Maybe given him a short period of time until we find the next manager, that would
Mhm.
probably be the thing that makes sense. Anyways, I think we have already I think covered all the topics, right? Do you think anything else is left, Arpit, which you want to discuss, or we can close the
Mm,
episode?
I think we've done everything. On the press conference point, I one thing just came into my mind is like, even in the last match against Porto, he's like, don't judge us now, judge us at the end of the season.
Yeah,
And I don't
Not
know.
going to last.
Yeah, what and exactly the same reaction was there on like
yeah.
in social media. Like you're not gonna be there at the end of the season. So how will make that
So judge us
statement,
when we
right?
get relegated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Press
Anyways,
conference
thank
is
you.
like,
Sorry, go ahead, Arpit. You were saying something.
I'm like, press conference is something like when I usually started following. I used to watch the press conferences, especially like with Mourinho and Solskjaer, because
Yeah.
at least there is some sensible talk or something. They're gonna
Yeah.
talk about match or something. But with Ten Hag, it's like, I mean, he's when he came and said eras do comes to an end. What else you can do at the
Yeah, yeah.
moment?
I think with Mourinho, before we end the episode, I think with Mourinho, I think there was this warrior mentality, right, where the whole world is against you, and I am me, and the rest of the players are only on one side, and the whole world is against you. So that actually motivated the team in a way, right? I mean, this manager doesn't know how to motivate, and now I can see that he doesn't even have tactics. I feel, right? So he's lost the tactical side of the game also because of all these press conferences, because all the noise that's around the club, and that's showing on the players also. I think that's showing on the manager, showing on the players, showing on the state of the club. I mean, you know how the stadium has ended up being, right? The stadium,
Right.
it's a leaky roof now. So, I
Yeah.
mean, everything is falling apart. So, basically, until the new ownership does something really drastic and take steps, there's some investment in the club. I don't see any hope in the near future, at least for one. As you said, sorry, rightly, we're going to see a very bad period before it starts to get better.
Yeah.
And I hope we don't end up like a Deportivo La Coruña or a club like that, which
Right.
basically
Right.
at least AC Milan recovered from the slum that they had for a few years, because they have, I think they had been relegated because of the some controversy that happened in the
Yes. Yeah.
Serie A,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Mhm.
there was some match fixing or something. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Anyways,
think
thank you everyone.
just one point which came to my mind just now. It's like we all say like the tactics is not there, right? I think he's a good coach probably, and we all like discuss it very well. But
Yeah,
he's more of a coach, but he's not like a manager.
yeah,
He
yeah,
don't know like how to handle big names probably, right? Like with Ronaldo, what happened everyone has seen.
yeah.
Similarly, like now he's not able to handle players who are really popular.
Sancho also.
Probably, yeah, probably thinks like people say Ajax was pretty good in tactics and all. I think the players in Ajax at that time, they're not that much famous because they're all
Oh
young.
yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
Van der Beek, De Ligt,
It's academy
Frankie De
players. Yeah.
Jong,
Yeah.
yeah,
Ziyech as well, right? They're not
Onana.
like a,
Is Onana in
yeah,
there?
yeah.
yeah.
Onana was
Onana is
also
also
there.
Ajax. Yeah.
So they're like young players who are really like willing to play. So he just like take the best out of them, but not with like a big stature players.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you everyone for sticking around. Please share, like, and subscribe to the Locker Room Stories. Thank you everyone. Thank you, Saurish, for being here. It was a great episode. We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you. Bye bye.
yeah.